Good. It's like if a human being was to pick up this book, that's the other one, but if a human being was to pick up this book and actually realize what it's offering, like straight away, you could look at the cover. And I've had people say to me, I saw the cover of that book and I was transfixed in the bookstore. I had to buy it. I couldn't leave the bookstore without it. I don't even know why. I have people tell me stuff like that all the time, right? But if you actually knew what that book was offering, like the escape from time and space, it's like I have this thing that sometimes, like when I'm reading this book, which is the Old Testament or the New Testament, right? You know, sometimes when you go and you see a blockbuster movie at the cinema or something like that, and then the movie finishes and you come outside and you still sort of feel like you're in the movie, like you're just like John Wayne or whatever. And you're kind of like in your head, you're acting out like the movie influence, you know, however it influenced you for a second. And when I read the New Testament, it's like, I feel myself there in the desert. I feel myself there in Jerusalem. I feel myself in places, you know, and the Bible's not particularly descriptive. It doesn't go into detail about they lived in little mud huts and whatever. There's just very, very scant on any kind of anything. You know, Vivian, if you were a scribe back then, you would have done a much better job, I'm sure. But you can feel it. You can feel the sun, you can feel, you know, and that's the heart space connecting. That's where it's connecting, getting out of the head and into the heart. And you feel the association that the words put you with. And it's like when you're watching a movie and you come out and you feel like you're still under the influence of watching the movie. It's because you felt it. It affected you on a level. It's not just something you watched it and you went, oh, that was fun. And then you walk out. Right? You have to let things affect you. It's part of the experience of being alive on earth, right? We let our emotions affect us, right? But we try not to because we know what they're capable of. We try to push them away. And what happens is we train our mind to push away everything until finally we just feel dead. We don't even realize we're doing it. We push away the stuff that we would enjoy. We push away the stuff that we would call good stuff, because we've conditioned our minds not to want to feel stuff in case we get hurt. And our minds form this kind of defensive posture, even when we're being introduced to people. We subconsciously are defending ourselves against letting anything real in, which is why 5 seconds later, you can forget whoever's name it was, you just shook their hand. You're not really connecting on any given sort of level, which is why it takes a lot in this. And the first half of the workbook is devoted to undoing the way you see things now, undoing the way you think. My screen's gone all dark. I'm not sure why that is. But it takes to get into that heart space, you know, where the reading of it and the hearing of it and the feeling of it all sort of line up and connect. And that's when you start to get emotional with it. And that's a good thing, Anna, right? Feeling that emotionality around it when you're reading it, whether you want to call that emotionality, oh, I hate it, it makes me feel terrible, or I love it, it makes me feel great. It doesn't matter how it makes you feel. Just the fact that you feel is a good thing. It's better than reading it like a robot and not feeling anything at all, because that feeling is the vibration that's contained within it. Okay? What you feel when you read it, when you actually connect, is the vibration contained within it affecting you. It's affecting you. It's getting in. It's doing what it needs to do, and you're responding to it, and you don't even know why. They're just words on a page that you give a meaning to. Right? But they do something when you really feel them, when you really connect with them. Okay? You can sit and listen to, my teacher Greta told me this little story. It's a lovely story. I don't think I've told you guys before, but there were two guys at a mountaineering or mountain climbing conference, right, that some of the guys went to in America, and they were you know, when you learn abseiling and you learn how to go up and down rock faces and things like that.
Oh, no, absolutely.
So there was a guy that was giving these little lectures, or there's a few guys, speakers and whatever, giving lectures. And the one guy that was giving lectures about equipment and all this sort of stuff, he was kind of like flat. His talk was like uninspiring, flat, whatever. That guy had never climbed a mountain. He was a salesman for technology. He was a salesman for equipment, but he'd never actually climbed a mountain. The other speaker that spoke had climbed freaking Mount Everest. And everybody was interested, not because he'd climbed Mount Everest. It wouldn't have mattered what mountain he climbed, but he was speaking from his experience. He was speaking from having actually done it, actually, you know, connected with that climb. And everyone that was interested in climbing could feel it from him. Right? The other guy was just dead words. It was just nothing. He was just talking and yak, 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 yak. So you got to get to the point, and that's what we're doing in this, where we activate ourselves and get to the point where we actually can feel what we're reading, not just read it. Right? I know I talk about that a lot. It's important. It's really
Not
important
enough.
to.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe not enough, but it's.
I thought I was muted.
You're not muted. But it's important to connect. Even when you're having conversations with people, you know, are you actually having a conversation with someone, or are you just waiting for your opportunity to say what you think you're going to say? Are you listening? Are you hearing? Or are you sitting there with an agenda of what you're going to say, not really listening to what they're talking about? It's as if their conversation's getting in the way of what you want to say. And you kind of subconsciously tune out to what they're really saying, thus not really hearing anything at all. And when you say your thing, you're only responding to the part that they said like 5 minutes ago, and they pick up on that. Because it's not the words, it's not the conversation. They're offering you a 5-minute frequential experience. You're only accepting a minute and a half of it, because a minute and a half in, you decided to judge it and think of something to offer back, right? It's not the words. The words are meaningless, right? I'll talk here for 15 minutes, and if you're stuck on something I said 10 minutes ago, you're not getting the whole package, okay? The whole package is what's on offer. When you read one of these lessons, the whole package is on offer in any. You know, it's like, but I've got to connect with it. It doesn't do you any good if you connect with the first line and then sort of like through the rest. You got to be consciously reading, consciously hearing, consciously like joining with what it is that's going on, because everything that's going on is going on in your own mind. And the attempt to perpetuate the idea of separation, or the belief in separation, keeps that separated from you. Okay, even your own thoughts get projected out and away. Okay, which is why we suddenly have 365 lessons and we're all here in this thing going, what the hell am I doing in my mind? Why is my mind such a mess? Why does my life keep going like this and I keep getting whatever and punching people and whatever it was Anthea did last time? Slap someone or something, I forget the story, but yeah. Is there an episode 2 to that, Anthea? Has there been a reconciliation and a healing, or what's gone on there?
Don't ask me, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, well, that's a good thing, I suppose. That was just another glitch along the road to salvation on a thorny byway. We'll just let it go. Anyway, all right, what are we doing today? Anyone else? Anyone hasn't read anything? Have you guys all had a go at reading? I was a bit late because I had to, I mean, it's all perfect, but I had real estate people here. I'm selling my house, but, which will probably bring up a load of emotional stuff. And that's why we're here. Doug, you've shaved your head. Very good. Very good. Megan, you're off to join the opera or record an album or something. How cool is that, though? You just keep saying yes and just keep saying yes and stuff keeps happening.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm singing again tomorrow. Did I ever point out the name of the stage to you guys? It was called Mystic Gardens. So I thought that was really funny.
Mystic Guardians? That's funny.
Mystic Gardens. Yeah, I thought that was really fitting and appropriate.
How appropriate is that?
Yeah, and
you know what I didn't like in that message you sent me about the whole thing, and I know you're going to look for representation. I didn't like that the drummer only gets 5%.
Yeah, I didn't.
I play the drums.
I didn't decide that. So I just sing yes to everything. That's all I said. I just said yes, Jordan. So it's kind of like this swirling. I thought I was dipping a toe into the proverbial waters. Holy shit. I didn't know it was like a whole swirling mystical whirlpool vortex. Holy God.
Yeah.
So yeah, now the photo shoot was great. I actually brought you up as Guru Aussie Man. And we talked dinner for us because the photographer was like, yeah, we should really get some shots in these trees. I'm like, really? You sound really certain about that. So sorry. Anyways, carry on. Before I just completely turn into nonsense. But you get it. It's going great. And I'm just saying yes to everything and watching it unfold.
Good. Just keep saying yes, keep turning up. That's it. There to represent God. That's all that happens. You just choose. I'm here to represent God. You just turn up and the miracles happen. Stuff just happens.
Well, yeah, and actually before that photo shoot, I actually came upon, if you want to go the heavier side of things, a bunch of girls that were underage drinking in the bathroom. Just teenage girls that were very lost, and I did the only thing I knew how to do, and I spoke music and stuff. They were really scared it's gonna like be a Karen and rat them out and this and that, and it didn't matter because it's not what was needed. It didn't matter. I don't know how to articulate it, but I know you understand. If I try to articulate it, it's just gonna become a mess. But you know what I mean? So music is like my ministry, I guess, and that's what happened, and it just went really well. And then onto a photo shoot that was a lot of fun. And so yeah, it's doing a lot of good stuff, and I'm just along for the ride and watching it unfold. There you go.
Good. What else do we got, Vivian? How's your week? Thrown all your meds away? Into the bin. Slam dunk.
No.
Oh,
but
never mind.
When I take them, I feel like I'm trying.
You feel like
I
a what?
haven't been able to stop taking them yet. I feel like it's worthless. Like,
right.
I keep doing it just in case I'm wrong.
God bless you. Maybe read lesson 76 a few more times and really let it get in there, you know. But the whole thing is, huh?
I have been trying other things and eating things that I've pushed away, you know, saying, oh, it's not healthy. Lately, I've been eating them. Going,
oh, good. Well, let's
so what?
That's good.
Yeah, so,
it's all body association.
Put your voice in my head.
You know? Right. Listen to that voice. That's the voice of reason. It's going to tell you, Vivian, go and have a damn chocolate milkshake.
Yes.
Why the hell not? Jesus said, eat whatever's put before you. It's not what you put into your mouth that can poison you, but every word that proceeds from the mouth of man. You know, when you really hear that, it's like, holy cow, what have I been doing? All these diets and special foods and medications and vitamins and all these weird beliefs in maintaining my body, which will maintain itself perfectly if I live from my spirit. It'll fulfill its function flawlessly. You know, I healed myself of cancer with the power of my mind. It was a miracle. It wasn't just me. It was like me and, you know, the big guy, but it was a choice. I said no to chemo. I said no to any other drugs, no to doctors, no to everything. How did that happen? It was a miracle. But don't forget your goji berries. Your kiwi fruit. Don't eat the seeds.
Okay.
The seeds contain something that's bad for you, something else. And it's like, oh my God, where does it end? Where does it end? When do I just be myself, you know? Anyway, that's good. I love the story of St. Francis when he came across, he was walking somewhere and he came across the procession with the king. What's his name? The king, Ferdinand. I want to say Ferdinand, but I don't remember. And there's what was it? Tina, do you know it? Anyway, but whatever. St. Francis is walking along, you know, and the king's there with all his crown on and his jewels and his scepter and the whole thing, and all the knights are behind him and everything else, like a whole thing. And he tells the king, throw all your shit in the river and everyone can enjoy the sparkles in the water, you know, and all that sort of stuff. It's like, what is that? What is all this adornment and extra stuff that we put to our lives that we think is somehow going to benefit us? A big lump of metal sitting on my head with some stones in it. What are they? The infinity stones from the Guardians of the Galaxy or something? Do they have special powers? It's like, do they make me more than I possibly could ever be? Of course not. I could only ever be as God created me. What's a bunch of stones or a bunch of special jewels, you know? Same thing. What's a bunch of vitamins? What's a bunch of anything? So, but it's like we have to take on board this posture, you know? So I have it all the time. Like every day, something will show up. This is healthy and this is good for you. And like immediately my mind goes, ooh, you know, and then I have to step back and go, hang on a minute. That's an illusion. Wait a second. That's not true. Really? It's kind of funny. Everything tries to trick you into believing you're a body. Everything in the world is designed to trick you into believing you're a body again and again and again, including the words I'm telling you now. Right? The only one thing that's going to relieve you from any kind of association with the body is direct union with your Father, is a holy instant, is a miracle, is a revelation, is an epiphany. Something that is not of this world that occurs in your mind to give you another whole point of focus for all your mental activity. All right? Until that occurs, your point of focus is forgiveness. Until that occurs, your point of focus is healing. Okay? Stay in that vibration, stay in that idea, and be really ruthless with yourself and radical with yourself when you find something that's out of accord with what it is Jesus is telling you, because this is a journey of faith. Okay? When am I going to take that leap of faith? Okay? Now, that's up to you. You may not have enough faith to take a leap of faith yet, but faith is its own reward. At some point, you got to step off the edge. At some point, you got to say, okay, I'm doing this. And that's going to be a conscious decision. Right? These vitamins, bin. Those special foods, bin. Chocolate milkshakes, yay. Whatever it is.
I got the yay part.
Right, yay. So, but it's always going to be a leap of faith. You know? So what am I going to do? Try and look after my body? What the hell for? It's only ever going to die at some point and end up in a pine box. I'm not going to need it at some point in my journey. Let that point be now. I don't need it now. I'm whole and perfect now. If I still have a use for it, it must be because I have denial and doubt about that idea in my mind. That's what I'm here to find. That's what I'm here to uncover. That's what I'm here to remove the blocks to, so that when Jesus says, give up the world and follow me, I'm like, yes, Lord. And I lay my body down, right? Only has to happen for an instant. In the twinkling of an eye, you'll be changed. Corruption will become incorruptible. You'll put on new skins, all of that sort of stuff. Born again. Okay. But it's an experience. It's not just words. It's not just concepts. It's not some man-made ceremony and pomp and circumstance and none of that stuff. It's an experience that has nothing to do with the world. I remember I think his name was Kevin. I had a friend years ago in Byron Bay, and Kevin and his wife attended the same spiritual center that I did. And I'm not sure what the disease is called, but the one where you lose all the pigment in your skin and it gradually you get big white patches and like all over. And his wife had this thing, but she'd accepted it, right? It was terminal for her. It wasn't just her skin. It was also the internal organs. It was affecting everything, right? Which is why they turned up there. But she was in this posture of acceptance. She had already accepted, I'm not a body. And she was cool with it. She had perfect peace around whatever was going to occur. She didn't know when, but whatever, the whole thing. And Kevin was completely beside himself. He was all over the place, right? He couldn't think straight. He couldn't do anything properly because he was so worried about her and the whole thing like that. And when he prayed to Jesus one day, Jesus actually took him out of his body and took him to this plateau. He said it was a plateau, like a massive hall, and they walked in these columns that went up higher than the sky, like these gold columns. And he said he walked with Jesus between these columns to the edge of this plateau and looked out into an endless expanse of creation. And he realized in that all his concerns and worries didn't matter. He knew that he was eternal. He knew that life was more than the body. And when he came back, he was fine. All of a sudden, he stopped worrying. He started eating properly. He went back to work and did all sorts of stuff, right? But that experience didn't happen in the world. It happened in mind, but outside of the framework of the physical dimension. Right? He was changed instantly.
How is it that by changing the mind, like say for you, the form also changed? You know, you healed yourself of cancer.
Right.
I mean, I do have those thoughts that says, I'm eternal, who cares? You know, but is that affecting my form, or is
but they're your thoughts? Those are your thoughts.
Yeah.
Right. Those thoughts are just
like
as deadly to you as any other thoughts.
Yeah. I would like it to affect the form. Maybe is that the thing that's holding me back?
The only thing holding you back is the belief that your thoughts can get you anything. Your thoughts are the problem. Your thoughts are the denial. That's why the mind training tells you, my thoughts do not mean anything. Okay? Anything, even your spiritual ones, even all the ones you read in A Course in Miracles don't mean anything. That's what the Course is telling you. Everything going on in this conscious bubble doesn't mean anything, right? That's going to be a bit scary for a minute because you're used to depending on your thoughts because of the meaning you've given them. This one means this one means that. They're only useful to you to navigate your way around your physical experience. But if you don't know the purpose of your physical experience, they're not really any use to you at all. You're just going around in circles, doing different things, telling yourself you're doing different things, but still stuck within the circle. You know? You need a reference point outside of that circle altogether, a complete something else that happens in the mind so that you can begin to focus on that, not your thinking. Does that make sense?
Intellectually, yes. How do I do
Right.
it?
Ask and you shall receive. Okay. You need an experience. You have to ask for an experience. Now, you're not going to want to do that. The mind that's hearing me say to ask for an experience is the ego mind. It is the mind in consciousness. All consciousness is the domain of the ego. Okay. So when I say to you, ask and you shall receive, knock and the door should be open, you know, that whole thing, right? When I tell you that, you go, oh yeah, and then whoop, put it away somewhere. Okay. If Jesus walked into your living room right now and said, Vivian, get up and follow me, right? What do you do with that? Oh, I'm in a Zoom meeting, Jesus. What can I bring my vitamins, Jesus? You know? You get what I'm saying? It's like, now it's going to take a minute for you to hear that when I say, give up the world and follow me, or ask and you shall receive, that I'm actually saying that to you. I'm actually saying, Vivian, ask and you will receive. You have to ask for an experience. But here's the caveat. You can't ask for it for yourself alone. Okay? You have to want that experience, which is universal. To be universal, you have to be willing to offer it to the whole sonship. Without any ifs, buts, or maybes. Right? Now, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty of offering it to the sonship, you're going to be in there looking like, what about those pedophiles? Or what about those warmongers? Or what about those drug dealers? They don't deserve it. What about all these other, right? That goes on. That's in the subconscious. That's what the defense mechanism against hearing anything is. We keep it in reserve, and somewhere we fall back silently in our decision making to try and protect ourselves against the things of the world that we think aren't worthy of our love, right? And all we're doing is denying that love to ourselves, right? You got to include everything in. God made his sun to shine upon the sinner and the saint equally, right? Christ's vision sees that way. You got to put all judgment aside and say, all right, I'm walking a path with God. This is how it has to look. I have to see my brothers the same way Jesus sees my brothers. I can't do that because I have all these judgments and I try to pretend I don't have them. I try to pretend that other people have them or whatever, and I'll project out my judgments onto others and say, well, you know, and keep myself separate. But it's like, no, if there's a sinner, it's me. If there's a saint, it's me. I'm one with everything, as above, so below. In eternity, so on earth, I'm one with all things. God's will is complete. Otherwise, it's not complete and I'm screwed. Get it? God's will is perfect, as above, so below. Here on earth, though, learning to accept God's will, learning to see through the vision of Christ, means that I have to put aside all my personal bias about everything, right? The easiest way to do that is to recognize you don't know what the meaning of the world is. You don't know the meaning of life. Why would I judge anyone or anything? That person just started a war over in Ukraine. That's a bad person, blah, blah, blah. Says who? How do you know what anything is? You just told me you don't know the meaning of life and you want to start deciding what things ought to be and what they shouldn't be. Who the hell's going to listen to you? You don't know nothing. The meaning of life is the most basic thing to know for anyone, and you can't tell me it. Right? It even tells you in the course, God is the source of all meaning. If you want to know the source of, if you want to know meaning, you've got to go to the source. Right? That emptiness you feel inside, that lack of belonging, that weird sort of feeling like you don't fit in and all of that sort of stuff. Listen to that voice. Listen to that harmonic. Listen to that in you. that will lead you into the darkness. That will lead you into the void, into that scary place that you don't want to go, which is actually where God is. Except you've put all these barriers up. No, don't go there. It's terrifying. Right? Before time and space began. I burned all those bridges for a reason. If I start going into that uncomfortable, dark, fearful place, then I'm going to have to get to the point where I put all those defenses in place for, which is going to bring me right back into contact with my Father, and my journey ends. You don't want to end the journey. You just want a better version of it. You want a version of it that you can manage and hold up in front of God and go, yeah, I'm doing all right. Fuck you. That's exactly what you're doing. What I'm doing. That's what every human being does. I'm the master of my world. And then when it gets too much, oh, help me, God, help me, help me, help me. My world's too heavy. Everything's going crazy. And then as soon as God starts to help, or as soon as your mind starts to heal a little bit, oh, it's all better now. Fuck you, God. Hey, party on, you know, woohoo. And then, oh, help me, help me, help me, help me. Like the mind is completely just all over the place. All right. But you get the results of your own thinking, and that's how you learn. I'm telling you, Vivian, throw all your vitamins out. I'm telling you, Vivian, dump all those ideas, right? I'm not going to tell you when, but I'm going to also tell you that I know that at some point you did, because I've already seen you in the light. I've seen you in eternity. I know that you're an eternal being. There's nothing to fear. Your journey, there's nothing to fear. Your process, there's nothing to fear. When you hear there's nothing to fear, maybe a different thing, however. Okay? That's why it's a journey of faith. That's why you have to take leaps of faith. Faith is its own reward, and you take one little leap of faith, and it gives you enough courage and strength and faith to go to the next one that shows up. And when you're doing those lessons, you realize how out of accord you are with Christ-minded perception. And you're like, oh my God, I've got to change so many things in my mind, my thinking about so many ideas that I've got in order to bring myself into an alignment with that Christ mind in me, so I can begin to see with the vision that Christ's offering me so I can use it. As I use it, I'll bring myself into the experiential awareness of what it is that's going on in my mind. And then as soon as that happens, it's like you lock with God and you're gone. You'll have an experience. Until then, it's sort of like not quite lining up, not quite lining up. I've got vitamins over here. I've got something over there, but never here and now perfectly, you know, there's always something. That's why every day should be devoted to miracles. Every day should be a living awareness of not so much the miraculous nature of life, because like that's the status quo anyway, but where it is that I deny that. And I'll see where it is I deny it by being vigilant for my own state of inner peace. If I'm not aware of my own state of mind, I'm not going to be aware when I lose it. All right? The mind training is teaching you to be aware and to be conscious of your thinking, conscious of your thoughts, aware that when you carry the Holy Spirit with you, or the Spirit of holiness with you, out into the street, into your workplace, into the supermarket, everywhere you go, and you'll see where it is you get triggered. You'll see where it is you get pissed off. If you don't see it, all that happens is your ego will just push it aside, like it pushes everything aside to try and protect you from feeling something. And you'll further enforce that way of thinking rather than allowing yourself to be miracle-minded. Okay? There's only two ways to think, with God or without God. One of those ways is a true way, and the other way doesn't mean anything. What even is that without God? If God's everything, how can I ever be without that? I can only ever be without that in my own awareness of myself, and only in a dream, in a fantasy, in a delusion, in my insanity. You know? Jesus says in the Course, every little sigh of discontent, the tiniest little sigh, is the denial of the entire sonship. My heart and my mind join in this deep sense of inner peace and being, and happiness to be included, happiness to be one with all things. It's like, wow, I'm happy to hear that. Now, I'd like to experience that. I'm happy to understand these ideas, but I want to actually experience that for myself. 1,000 people can ride a roller coaster and tell you how incredible it was and scary and crazy, and you'll go, wow, that sounds amazing. But until you actually do it yourself, what is it? It's just someone else's stuff, right? So it's like, ask and you shall receive. I can't tell you how to ask. I can only tell you that you have to. Right? This is a required course. When you actually ask is up to you. That's the only freedom you have, really. The other ideas you have about free will and stuff, they're rubbish. The only freedom you have is how long do you want to take? I'm telling you that on this side of the experience, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Think of the worst terror you've had in your life and multiply it 1,000,000 times, right? It lasts for a second. And by the time you realize how terrifying it is, you'll be out the other side. Remember when you were a child and your mother would pull the plug out of the bathtub and you'd be like, oh, I don't want to go down the hole. And you'd have that like that unreasonable terror that you might get sucked down the hole where the water goes, and what's down there, it's dark and makes that horrible noise. And it's like, no, I'm getting out before the last bit of water goes down. I'm out of the tub. Right? But that's what it's like. Like it's a moment of shock, a moment of it's a moment where you can't do anything. Right? You can't do anything about that moment. The moment it dawns on you and you realize it, it's done. You can, however, feel the approach of it. You can feel the approach of it. It's like an impending kind of anxiety for a second, or an impending kind of sense of doom or dread or whatever. And if you're meditating when it happens, you'll get a sense of darkness and emptiness and expansive void, right? Go into that. I've met so many people that tell me, oh, I started meditating and then I thought I was going to lose my mind and get sucked into this black thing. I'm like, what? You stopped? Get sucked in. Let yourself go into that dark space for a second, pop out the other side, remember God, and then come back and help me with this Course in Miracles endeavor. Right? That's where it's at. Everything else you're doing in your world, in your dream, in your life experience is simply an orchestration or part of an orchestration to bring you to a point where you become willing to say, yes, Lord, and have that experience. Okay? The Course is just here to save you time. That's it. You can go on and be the best at whatever you want to be out in the world. You can go on and stand at the pulpit and represent God in church. You can do all sorts of stuff. But until you have an experience, you're avoiding the experience. Right? And it's a conscious avoidance. Separation from God is a deliberate choice. Right? I chose to come here of my own free will. God gave me free will and I used it to project my mind into a dimension that doesn't exist. I used it to project my mind into a dream so that I can imagine that I'm in a dream and not in my Father's kingdom. It's like, that's pretty intense. How did I do that? Oh, I don't remember. How are you going to get out? I don't really know. I used the power of God to get in here. Maybe I'll have to use the power of God to get out. What's the power of God? I don't know. I can't remember that either. So you're screwed. Yes, I'm screwed. You'll need a miracle. Yes, I need a miracle. Right? Thank God for the miracle. Right? At least you're laughing. You know, at least you're laughing. Don't build a kingdom on earth. Make your way to the exit. Don't build a kingdom on earth. Make your way to the exit. Bring with you all that will come with you. Do what you need to do to feed your body, put clothes on it, and just keep it as simple as you can. But until then, don't get comfortable. Don't try to put down roots where you don't belong. Stay in the flow and allow the grace of God to guide you to the next elevator. You know, ding, going up. Yes, this is the Miracle Express. 3rd floor. Heal the blind, lepers. You know, get the idea.
Yeah.
Top floor. Oh, you don't want to go to the top floor.
What's up there?
Right, exactly. What's up there? You know perfectly well what's up there. Cool. Doug, what's going on? I like your haircut. It's keeping it simple.
Well, I'm doing quite well, thank you very much. I had a lovely day because there was no judgment throughout the day, so I felt just very much peaceful. I felt very loving, and I had no complaints, and it felt kind of miraculous, and I enjoyed it. I felt it before, of course, but it just felt even deeper, perhaps. And I was singing, and what I think helped this was during a meditation, maybe yesterday, whenever there was a thought, and usually there aren't that many. They could be a theme of thoughts that interrupt or present themselves in the meditation. And I was able to, I think, with the help of listening to the lessons, just see them as judgments. And so whenever a thought would come, however much they are part of kind of a theme of thoughts, I would just look at them as judgments and go, okay, there it is. And then just let it do whatever it was going to do, and then move back into the meditation. And I think that simple approach the past day or two has helped me. It kind of freed me a little bit to feel loving and peaceful, and just wherever I am is good to be, and not hating people.
That sounds good.
I have to let the last part out. Got to go for a laugh here and
right,
there.
Right. You could take it up a notch and just say, and not hating myself, because that's the same thing.
Yeah, when I said
keeps,
that. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Exactly right. I just got that as soon as I said it.
Right. Good. I like the bit where you were singing. That was nice.
Yes, that was quite nice.
Very, very good. Laurie. Oh, we've lost Anthea. She's off for a wardrobe change, I'd imagine. Laurie, what's going on?
Oh, it has been an interesting week. Whoops, let me see if I can get my screen here so that I can see you. There you are.
I can't see you. Mine's all dark. I'm not sure. Oh, there. I'll sit.
Well, you've been touching on things that I've been working through this week, and one of them is a little background. I have many years of recovery from multiple addictions.
Oh.
However, there has been one addiction that I have yet to be able to overcome, and it's food. I have tried, like someone asked me to write down everything I had tried. And that was like, I don't know, 10 years ago. It took 10 pages. And this week I got to the point where I said, screw it, I'm done. I am done trying to fix this body. I am done listening to the experts. I'm done listening to the arguments of who's right and who's wrong. It's all bullshit. I'm going to die, just like you said earlier, I'm going to die of something someday, probably anyway. So, if I get beamed up now, fine. I'm just tired of fighting it. And
Good.
so, like a day or so after I made that decision, I'm reading one of my lessons. I can't even remember which lesson it was. I'm reading a line that I have no idea how many times I've read this sentence.
Yeah.
But it hit me to the core. And it was, Christ has dreamed the forgiven world.
Right.
And I went, oh my God. Yes, it's done. He has dreamed the forgiven world. There, I don't need to listen to the bullshit of the ego dream. And I went into meditation and it was like I was shown a double screen, and one was a screen of the ego dream and the other one was the screen of the Christ dream. And the Christ dream was just so bright and beautiful and full of color. And I thought, I can choose that. I can choose that. And yet here I am. And I'm going, and what would Dave say? What do you want? Well, I want that bullshit, or you'd have it.
Right.
So I've been laughing at myself all week. It's like bullshit. If you wanted it, you'd have it. It's there now, though.
That's right.
So I know it's there, and I can't deny that.
Right. Good.
And
Now,
just
stay in
like
what you just said. Stay in what you just said. I know it's there and I can't deny that. Now, stay there. Close your eyes for a second. Take a breath. I know it's there and I can't deny it. I know it's there. I can't deny it. The idea that you can't deny it is what the denial is. The idea that you can't deny it is what denial is. You would have to be in denial to tell yourself you can't deny it. Okay? Otherwise, you'd just be in the Christ dream. I know it's there. I'm denying it. Not I can't deny it. I know it's there. I am the denial of it. Because you're never the effect, you're the cause. You're the state. If there's a denial, it's me. Now, accept yourself in this dream as the denial rather than trying to change that. And that energetic block, that energetic bridge that you're looking to cross will happen automatically. Okay? As soon as you accept it. I can't deny that. That's an ego defense, right? I am the denial of it. It's not that I can't deny it, I am denying it. Right? I am the denial. I'm the denial of God. Holy cow. I am the devil. I am the Lucifer. I am the ego. I am all of that stuff in this world. That's how I find myself. That's why I have mind training, so I can bring about this shift in my consciousness to realize that that perception of myself is false. but I can't accept that it's false until I first accept that that's the perception of myself that I have. That's the perception of myself I'm holding. I see myself as the denial of love. Holy cow. I won't let myself see that I see myself as that. I won't let myself experience that I see myself as that or want to see myself as that. But it's the truth. In this world, the truth is the opposite of the truth in eternity. In eternity, the truth is formless and eternal. In this world, it's form and it's time and it's space and beginnings and endings and everything else. Until I accept the world exactly as it is, in what it represents, I'm always going to be at odds with it, thinking that there's a world and a me that's separate, a Christ dream and a me that's separate, right? For me to be able to cross that bridge to get to the Christ dream, which is just a bridge, a decision in the mind, first I need to see what it is I'm doing in my mind that's preventing me from crossing it by accepting that I'm responsible for what I'm doing in my mind. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear there's a forgiven world. That's going to ruin my dream of denial. Now I have to choose. Which world do I want to see? I'm the dreamer of my dream. I'm the maker of the world I see. A new world is being held out to me. But in order to step into that new world, I have to be willing to relinquish the one I made for myself. To relinquish the one you made for yourself, you have to realize why you made it. I made it to deny God. I made a choice to deny God, hide myself in a dimension that is completely illusory, come to a world where I can experience that and prove to myself that my ideas about believing in separation and the potential that that has is real to me. I'm only telling you it's not real. I'm not telling you that your decision making is good, bad, or anything. I'm just telling you, hey, Laurie, it's just a dream. You can continue to try and hide in the dream all you want, but I'm awake. I know it's not real. It's been very convincing up until now. Thanks very much, but no thanks. Not interested in playing in your world anymore. And I'm holding out my hand to you and saying, if you choose, we can leave this world together and we'll go hang out with Jesus. But you're the one that's got to hear that. It's like when I was telling Vivian about, Anna rather, about connecting with it. I can tell you and tell you and tell you. You can read that line like you said before. I read that line so many times and all of a sudden, holy cow. Now, what are you going to do about that holy cow? It's the same thing as Vivian, ask and you shall receive. Exactly the same thing. Now you need a miracle. Now you need a miracle. You've seen your mind is split. You've got the offering of the perfect world. You've got your world. You're not in denial of the perfect world. You are what the denial is. You're the symbolic representation of the opposite of the perfect world. The body is the symbol of the ego. It's like, oh, that's kind of dumb. Why did I do that to myself? It's funny when you can see it.
It's stupid.
You mean this crappy little flesh and bones organism that isn't nothing more than a speck of dust in the universe is the denial of God? It's the symbolic representation of the denial. It's nothing. You get on a rocket ship and go out to the planet Mars. I don't even know if you can see Earth. It's just a little thing. And then you're somewhere on Earth sitting in your living room and zooming. You go further out and further out. It's like, where's Laurie? You know, it's like, see that star there? It's like, imagine 3 fingers to the left, and then there's a whole planetary somewhere there, and she's there somewhere watching a TV screen. It's like, really? That's the denial? It's like, I keep my finger here. I can only ever represent the truth. I can only ever represent the alternative. So Jesus says, you made time and space as a defense against God. I can tell you that and I can show you the alternative, but it's you that's got to choose when you want to accept it. It's like, that's why we have all these blocks, all this stuff going on in the mind, all these thoughts. And during our meditation, we can let them go, let them go, let them go, but we have to choose to let them go. We've got to choose to let go of the world and choose to allow the Holy Spirit to do his work in us. I don't know how to let it all go. I have no idea. It's going to take a miracle. It's going to take something to happen that's not of my own making.
Oh.
Right. Now you're at the precipice. It's literally going to take a miracle.
I got it. I just got it. It's
Right.
like before you
I know, I
mentioned
heard you get it.
before you mentioned the bridge, I saw myself standing at the entrance to a bridge that went over an
Right.
expanse and into the forgiven world. And when you said it takes a miracle, I thought, oh my God, all I have to do is ask Jesus to walk across the bridge and help me walk over it.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't have to do it alone.
No.
I don't have to be a victim anymore. You know, it's like he's saying, you can stay here and be a victim if you want, or you can come across the bridge.
That's right. It's your choice. But here's the caveat. You can't come across the bridge alone.
Right, I got that.
Right? That's both your blessing and your curse.
I got that.
You have to bring everybody with you. The whole sonship. Murderers, warmongers, robbers, rapists, you name it.
I can do that.
You have to be willing to forgive the world you think you made to cross that bridge. And we're doing that a little bit at a time, or perhaps we're going to just be totally fed up and done with it, and we're just going to do the whole thing in one go. What that is for you, I don't know. But somewhere in your heart and somewhere in your mind, when you look out into the world and you see the suffering of the children and you see the war and the chaos and the sorrow and everything else like that, man, if that's not enough impetus for you to want to just cross that bridge and bring everybody with you in the loving arms of God, I don't know what is. One child that suffers is enough for me. Suffering is an idea that I project out there. Why would I want that? Why would I want that? Why would I want to leave anyone behind? Knowing that those who seem to cause the greatest amount of harm and whatever, apart from the fact that they only have the meaning I give them, are the greatest call for love. They're the greatest shout for love. So they're calling, help me. Those kids in America that go in and shoot other kids in school. They're not shooting kids in school. They're screaming from the top of their voice, help me. I'm struggling. I'm dying. This is the only way I know to be heard. You know, it's tragic. Jesus says, delay in time is tragic indeed. Salvation is offered you now. Now. If you truly knew, if you truly could hear that at some point you're going to lay your body aside, why wouldn't you just do it now and save your brothers all that suffering? Be reborn. Be reborn. Here I am, Lord. Take my body. Here I am, Lord. I'm willing to forgive. I don't know how the hell to forgive. I don't even know what that looks like. I don't care what I have to go through. I want it to stop. I'm done with the world. I need a miracle. I want to cross that bridge and I want to bring everyone with me. I don't care if I'm the last one across. That's the heart of the Christ. That's the pure of heart. That's why you have to feel it in your heart. You have to feel these words. You have to connect with them. Get out of the head. The head is the place that makes the decision, but the heart is the passion. Look at your brothers. Look upon them lovingly. All living things are alive in you. Either that or they're dead in you. I can't see one thing separate from anything else. I have to see the truth in everything. Isn't that right, Tina? Now, that may look like a process for a minute. That may look like a retraining of my mind so that it enables me to look into areas of my, like when Jesus says, seek for the blocks and find them. There's places in my mind, it's like I'm still looking on the surface, right? I'm still looking here in this superficial conscious level. It's like, well, why would that even be there? What is that trigger representing? There's a block to love's awareness in me that's buried so deep. I've got to find it where it is. Holy Spirit, come with me, show me where it is, and then deal with it for me. You got to do everything with God, every step of the way with God. It's like, why won't I cross that bridge? I'm not terrified to cross the bridge. I deliberately don't want to cross the bridge, because if I cross the bridge, it ends my dream. My dream is the weapon I use against God. Why do I use a weapon against God? Because I'm trying to end God. I'm trying to deny God, void God completely, so I can be the creative source of life. It's a tiny mad idea. Into eternity where all is one, crept a tiny mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. It's like, how many times has it been repeated throughout human history? Especially in like days of old, when the son of the king would depose the king to become the king. My dad's old and crotchety. I'll dispatch him with a blow of the sword now, and I'll take his place. I think it was the second king of France died that way. His son murdered him. Vikings. If you think the king's too old and crotchety and not doing a good job, you can challenge him to a fight. It's pretty easy for a 30-year-old guy with an axe to beat an 85-year-old guy with an axe. I'll just depose God because I'm the Christ and, I know what I'm doing. It's like, God gave me free will. What am I going to do with it? I'll depose my father. I'll be God. That's a tiny mad idea. But somewhere in your mind is the place where that tiny mad idea took root. Right? Not the mind of Laurie, somewhere in mind, like whole mind, Christ mind. Right? But it no longer exists there. It was healed in the resurrection. That place where it existed was the idea of death. Right? Jesus is like 3 days in the tomb, dancing around every head. Look, Thomas, put your fingers in the hole and back. See, death didn't work. Right? Also, Enoch, the only other person in the Bible who didn't die. Right? The idea that there is no death is a point of reflection in the mind that stops you dead in your tracks. Right? What do you mean there is no death? Now what? Everything I do, I've been counting on death. It's kind of funny when you can see it. It's like, oh, I'm doing this to myself? Yes. Who am I going to blame for that? What can I do about it? A miracle. Heidi, what's going on?
Thank you.
I know a lot's coming up.
Really?
Yeah.
When was that coming up?
Well, it's the whole time.
Is it coming up now?
No.
Oh, so you're talking about the
No.
past.
Yeah. Well,
All right, what's happening now?
now, what's coming up now versus what you've been like, what's been coming up is that.
No. You're still talking about the past. Ready? What's happening now?
Well, nothing's happening now.
Right. Good. Stay there.
Yeah.
Stay there. Nothing's happening now. Nothing's happening at all, actually,
Right.
including the idea that stuff's been coming up.
Yeah.
Right. There's only now.
And that's where I've been, but that gets depressing sometimes. My mind judges that
Right.
as being like this depressing space, but it's also the
So
most
don't do
peaceful
it.
space I've ever been in.
Right. So you're split. You've got both sides.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Don't adjust to that. You're going to keep coming back to that again and again and again, the here and the now. And part of your mind's going to say, oh, it's really peaceful and calm, and thank God for that. And the other part of your mind's going to go, this is so depressing. There's nothing here. Right? Don't adjust to that. That's the perfect example of the split mind. I've got everything I want, but everything I want doesn't fulfill me. Don't adjust. Let that take you. That'll take you straight into the void. That'll take you straight into that place where there's nothing else. Right? I'm telling you, there's nothing else. Right? When you master the art of here and now, it is boring. When you master the art of here and now and you're still in the world, that's boring as hell. You don't want to be in the world when you've mastered that.
It's so beautiful too. Like,
right. But you can sit there saying it's so beautiful forever. Don't you want to know why that's what that's for? Here and now. Here and now is literally the jump off point to an experience. When you find yourself in the here and now, like in your meditation, you should literally be hearing the conductor saying, all aboard for the next thing. Right? Don't get caught into the how beautiful it is and think about how nice and peaceful it is. Just stay there without thinking about it. Here and now, stay there. Here and now, stay there. Oh, it's so beautiful and peaceful here in the here and now. That's just a concept. It's a better one than not being here and now. It's a better one than being like, oh, I've been going through stuff all week or whatever. That's fine too, but it's got to bring you to the here and now. It's like Laurie. Laurie's in the here and now, right now. She's got a decision to make. All her stuff for the whole week, everything that's been going on has brought her to this moment. I see I have to make a decision. There's a bridge. Do I cross or don't I cross? That's the same with you. There's a bridge. Do I cross or don't I cross? Your bridge looks slightly different. It's the here and now. It's the same bridge actually, but in your mind, it's like it's peaceful. All right, let me stay there in that place. Right? You know, when we do our light meditation, we draw our circle. I'm here and now. I'm there. I'm not going to adjust. When you do a silent listening, you find the here and the now. Right? Even calling it the here and the now is an association. It's kind of like dumb, but I don't have any other way to talk about it. So it's like we say here and now, and we stay there, abiding with the spirit. Does that make sense?
mm-hmm. Yeah, the words
So
don't
you
adjust come up a lot. Like, don't adjust, just.
Yeah, absolutely. If you truly sit in the here and in the now, it'll draw you into the darkness. It'll draw you into the nothingness, right? You're standing on the edge of it, looking at it going, oh, there's nothing there in the here and the now. It's peaceful, but there's nothing there. I want you to stay in the nothing there. There is nothing there. That's where I want you to stay. Stay there and let the nothing there call to you, because there is something there. You're only used to seeing that there's nothing there based on everything else you think's going on for you. None of which is true, because there's actually nothing happening. Like you said before, there's nothing happening in the here and now, right? It's the paradox. You're caught in the paradox. You're stuck there where there's the here and the now that's nothing there, and the here and the now, but it's so peaceful, right? Now, that's a paradox, sort of, or it's not quite a paradox. I don't know what you call it. It's a rock and a hard place, perhaps, right? But the answer to it is don't adjust. Let it be miraculous. Right? Here I am, Lord. I've reached the end of the road, literally.
I think that's
I'm in
where
the here and the,
like there's
right.
like I need a mirror. I can't analyze myself out of this. I can't, like, I'm not there anymore. I can't even
Right.
I have to be like, I need a miracle. I don't know. And so
Right.
here I am. I don't know.
Good. Good. Now your ego is going to try and backpedal and give you things out in the world to do. Right? What about this? What about that? I'll go to work and then I won't have to think about it. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Literally, your thinking about it is going to make it worse. Right? And you're not thinking about it is going to make it worse. You're going to come back to this point again and again and again, because you know it's there now. You know there's a point in you between a rock and a hard place that you can't think your way out of. Okay? That's the same thing with Laurie. Laurie's at the beginning of a bridge. She knows the bridge is there. Right? She's in the same place. I'm between a rock and a hard place. What do? Go back to my old dream of death, or do I cross the bridge? It's the same thing. Right? Either way, it's got to be miraculous. Either way, you've reached the end of your dream. You've reached the end of the road. You're going to go back and try another road, another way? What for? You know they all end in death. Right? You're going to stay there and not take that next step, that leap of faith, and cross the bridge? Sit in the void? Sitting on the fence does nothing. You have to make a decision, right? But you can't do it by yourself. Holy Spirit, I need help. I want to sit in the here and the now. I want to enter the void. I want to go into that darkness, that nothingness, that emptiness, and out the other side. I want an experience, right? You got to ask. It's not the words, it's the heart, right? The prayer of the heart is in you. God put it in you himself. Right? And when you really, really, truly feel that rock and a hard place in you, that place, when you really feel in that, the prayer of the heart will come up. Okay. You'll just know it. You'll feel it so bad, you'll wish you could die. You can't die, but you'll wish you could. Just remember, it's a choice. I'm choosing life or death, life or death, life or death. Jesus is holding out his hand to you saying, hey, give up the world and follow me. Yes or no? Yes or no? Here's a bridge. You want to cross it? Yes or no? It's the same offer. Here's salvation, Heidi. Yes or no? Rock in a hard place. Yes or no? Or you're going to go out in the world. You can't do anything in the rock and a hard place. Right? That's literally the guarantee you can't fuck it up. You can't get it wrong because there's nothing you can do there. Your hands are tied. You can bounce around in your head all day long trying to figure out what to do in that place in the here and the now. You're never going to find a solution. The only solution is to be still and let it happen. How deep do you have to go to be still? I don't know. How much integrity and You know, where's the juice to want to sit there? Jesus went in the desert and drew a circle, 40 days and 40 nights. Rock in a hard place moment for 40 days and 40 nights. I'm either going to find God, face all my demons and find God, or I'm going to die in this circle. Right? That's literally the mindset. That's the mindset you have to take on board. I've got nothing going on anyway. What the hell have I got to lose? There's nothing going on anyway. What have I got to lose? I'm either going to eat myself into an early grave or become a drug addict and inject myself into an early grave or whatever. It's like, well, let me use my body for something actually helpful. Let me draw that circle. It's a circle in the mind. Jesus did it in form. Jesus went into the desert and did it in form, 40 days and 40 nights. That whole 40 days and 40 nights is an idea. It represents a refusal to adjust. I'm not stepping out of this circle until I experience something. I refuse, because I see that stepping out of it is just avoiding the rock and the hard place. Stepping out of it is avoiding the issue. And what's the point of that? I'm just going to die anyway. So if I die in the pursuit of facing the issue, so be it. But I'd rather not. I'd rather have a leap of faith and put all my faith in God and just sit in that moment for a second and have an experience that shows me my reality. That's the whole point of meditation. If you're meditating and don't have any experience, then you're doing it wrong. Right? I think Anthea's gone to bed. All right, so we'll do a meditation. Anna, you good?
Yep. I'm good.
You guys are all getting to the point now where you're starting to realize your purpose, what it actually entails. You've been in this long enough and doing the workbook lessons and Zoom meetings and stuff where you're starting to sort of see what it is that you're about. And it's hard to hear it. It's really hard to hear it. The mind is geared towards not hearing. It's an uphill, steep climb, and the way is rocky and hard. And there are a few people found on that way, right? It's like Jesus says, you have ears to hear, but you don't hear, you're deaf. It's like trying to actually hear this, man, it's tough. It's like, you mean I have to not adjust to my pain? I have to resist not evil? Yes. Resist not evil. That's the whole thing. The whole teaching of Jesus Christ. Resist not evil. So we draw our circle. Close your eyes. And you got to remember, evil is not like bad stuff like demonic and whatever. Evil is an Aramaic word. It means error. It means mistake. It's an archery term. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths.